Hi folks, Nick here recapping the day, June 2nd. Kind of a disappointing day for both bulls and bears. Let me show you why. This is the S&P. Let's switch over to a 5-minute. Overnight, we had a disaster down to 2094 in the ES, which is the S&P, basically the E-minis. And then an immediate test after the market opened, completely rejected it and everything went green, only to close on the low and on heavy volume. The volume, you can see, was heavy into the close negatively. You can see the action was similar in Apple. The wedge, also we tested the pre-market. It's kind of like, okay, let's test how elastic this thing is. Let's test it at 129 and change. Let's test the high. After the market opens, okay, it is elastic indeed, and close at the low. You live by the apple, you die by the apple. Half of the NASDAQ's gains year to date are all Apple. Half. You can see how the rising wedge broke right around here. So active traders had a lot of things to toot and holler. I tried to see what we're moving with. It wasn't the end like I thought it was the last couple of days, or maybe it was, and now it wasn't, and now it's no longer. It wasn't the TLT, which are bonds. Bonds were killed today, down 1.4%. Conversely, inverse of that, are the yields were higher. So theoretically speaking, markets should have been lower, because if we're scared of yield, shouldn't we drop on rising yield? The yield was up big. So let's zoom in on, before we go to the yield, 6 months worth of S&P. Bearish pattern, rising wedge of sorts. You can see that orange line. I can extend it for, okay, wrong one. I can extend it further. In other words, not a good day for the bulls today. We need to hold this, folks. You can see the range is tightening. We've done it before. Bonk. But we need to bounce up. Maybe a headline will cause a giant leap like that. I don't remember what happened here. May 8th. I can't remember now. So, this is an indecisive candle. It is doji because they opened here. They tried to sell. They tried to run. Then they decided to close it just about where they opened, a little red. So a down 0.1% is nothing to worry about, given that it was down 10 points or so in the pre-open, or even after the market opened. But if we lose this one, we may come down to here. Decent volume, so nothing to ignore. How about the Qs? Doji indeed, indecisive even more than the S&P. Look, I can hide the whole, my cursor, it's a plus sign. So they opened here, they sell, they loved it, and then they close it exactly where they opened. That's called a doji, technical term for the candle itself, but it really tells me they're indecisive. They don't know what to do. All the patterns that are playing out are bearish. Wedges, the way they're rising, they're bearish. The way they're failing to break out are bearish. And remember I told you, look, we're squeezing those two green lines. Guess where we are? Below the green line. How far down do we go? Technically, we can get down to here, but it could be lower, or we can just reverse tomorrow on a headline. We are in headline trading. Remember, the overall spread is the white stuff, so we're closer to the high than the low, so maybe we want to approach the low a little bit. This is also on decent volume. How about the small caps? Today, the small caps were the leaders for me. I was watching the small caps, and they did not steer me wrong intraday. The fight I told you was about 124.5 for the IWM. Look at where we closed, 124.5. You can argue the patterns are bullish or bearish, depends on your bias. I say they're more bearish than bullish because we're failing at this level quite a few times. However, if we do take that level out, we can get to here in no time. So we can get to new all-time highs in a jiffy. All we need is a headline. So we are headline trading, so I leave room for error bigger than the normal. Okay, so we talked about the transports recently, how many times they failed. Well, today they put together two candles back to back, even though they're green, even though we have had a strong oil day. So who knows what's going on here? Probably airlines. I'll go to the oil, up 1.8%. Technically speaking, if it can break out from this area, which it has today, it can reach 68, technically speaking. Whether they'll let it go there, I'm not sure. The small caps intraday really helped me not chase the move up, as they led all day up, and then when the ES took over, the S&P continued on up, the small caps said, no, you know what, I'm going to drop. See that area here? Small caps were dropping, and this is that same area where the S&P was in denial. Said, no, I'm going to continue hanging up here until right here Apple decides to fall. And I'm going to switch over to the Apple window right here. This is, see that area? Apple said, I can't do it anymore. And there goes the indices. They were saved by the bell. Had Apple breached 129.8 again, it would have gone to the lows of the day. I have no doubt in my mind. Okay. All right, so tomorrow, how do we open? What headline is out? Tomorrow we have ADP before they open. So ADP gives us an idea of what the jobs report is going to be, but they haven't been so accurate lately, so markets will likely ignore them unless they're completely unexpected, like super strong or super weak. And even then, I couldn't tell you how they will react to a super strong, because maybe they're scared. A super strong report brings about the feeling of, oh my gosh, you're going to raise rates. But silly, I know, but that's how the markets, that's why it's a coin flip, so I wouldn't bother. So go to sleep, nothing to be done overnight on the option side, and we'll get at it again tomorrow. We did have a few reports of possible reports to come out that whipsawed. I don't know what this was all about. It was on heavy volume for sure, but why? I couldn't find a specific reason. I did see it coming though. You see that line, intraday, that's the S&P. I knew that if it had broken out here, this was the upside target, and we got to it maybe a little bit more. But I did know also that this was a potential breakout or breakdown area, so it fell back down. So everything is predictable. The ranges, they're playing out into our hands almost exactly. And let me tell you, I've been in the past, I don't know, 10 days, I've been saying 1252 is really important for the TF, which are the small caps. And I'll show you why. This is 1252 area right here. See how it's support, resistance, support, resistance, support, resistance? Yeah, it's still in play. Today it was the pivot point. So 1252-ish, boom. Nah, I'll come back. So everything is playing out within ranges that we are expecting, so we're not surprised. However, still, I would leave more room for error. Now, there are a few particular names I want to run through based on request and based on things that are going on. So eBay is one of them I meant to do yesterday, and I forgot. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. All right, so yesterday I asked myself, does it have enough oomph to break out of that white channel? And I answer it today, no, emphatically, and look how badly it rejected it. They opened here, they ran it up straight to it, and they immediately rejected it. Well, it ended up rejecting it in a big way. They closed even lower than where they opened. Doesn't bode well. But if it does break this one, maybe more upside. That, again, is a headline stocks because of its split off of PayPal and all of that. Another outstanding stock today was X, which is a shame, really. If you want to see the extent of this stock, let's go to 10 years. Look at that, $190 almost, down to, what, in the single digits for a while. And so anyway, it shows you how far it fell. But now, right here, it was bearish or bullish. There was a couple of triangles. There were a couple of triangles, those blue lines. And right here is a coin flip, the next move. And guess what? Today they decided up. I think they had an acquisition of sorts. They were buying something, a part of somebody. So technically, it had the potential to move in either direction. However, a few days ago, we said that it has support at 23, and here it emphasized the fact that, yes, indeed, I have support at 23. And also there was a credit call spread that we played that was by request from somebody. So that iron condor paid for somebody. I didn't take it, but whoever requested it, it paid, so good job there. Facebook also showing some greens on a tough market day. However, I need, it's avoiding the nasty scenario. I need to see what it's going to do with that red line right there. It's failed at it quite a few times, and today it's failed at it. Even though it touched it, it closed lower than it, but still higher on the day. So I need another candle before I chase it. Speaking of chasing, price line, bam! Look at this candle. You know, that's a stock that moved $30 in one day for no reason whatsoever, $40, $50. Here we go, up 2.5%. It hit that orange line, same as Facebook. I want to see how it handles that line. It's been a pivot line. Not it fails at it. It uses it as support, then fails, breaks out, but then comes back to it, breaks out, comes back to it, fails, tries to hold, fails. You know, it's a point of interest. Let's call it a point of interest. So I'll wait. I can't chase it up or down. Okay, somebody asked me, do you want a short price line? No, I don't want to short it. Definitely not with credit call spread. And in the same question they asked, do you want to do a Netflix credit put spread too? Like, first of all, it's not a pair trade that I like, but Netflix, which brings us to the other side of this suggestion. So no, I wouldn't short price line. Netflix has a rising wedge, so theoretically, technically, I can take a debit put spread in Netflix, but I can also do a credit put spreads because fundamentally speaking, it's growing and China is the next target apparently. So if that's the case, how can I short something that's going long China? So I could do a credit put spread, but it's not for me. So if you need one of those, let's figure out a level. I'm not going to spend some time on it today. I was also asked about NVIDIA. It's trading the range we drew last time. I need another candle. It failed at this breakout if I extend that orange thing. So is it coming back down to the lower end of this? So around here or around here? So it's either 23 or 21 and change. I don't have an opinion on either. Something else popped into Win. Okay, Win Resorts, terrible, absolutely terrible chart. But what if it wants to bounce off of this green line again? Okay, and if I zoom out to 5 years, because that's how long I need to see another low, you can see how it's a descending wedge. I can safely assume, without risking a lot of money, that this is an area of a bottom. So if I go to July and buy a debit spread, call spread cheap, something around $120, really cheap, I'm talking pennies, is it worth the while? I think it is. So maybe tomorrow I may pick one. And it's not a trade with conviction. It's money I throw out on a lottery ticket because it definitely has the potential to go down to 80 again. But let's just say markets hold up and they rally. This one could rally hard. Okay, that's just, it's a long shot. GM was in the news today. You know, everybody actually was bullish GM in the morning and they were up here. I would take the other side of this because I have faith that somebody will mess it up. I don't know why, but I do. This is a level from which they've fallen quite a few times, and I don't believe that this time will be any different. If I'm wrong, follow the bubbles. If I'm right, follow the squares, or rectangles. Don't. Okay? Why this one? This one is just a failure of that one, and why this one? This one would be a failure of this orange one extended down to here. So I'm giving it a few days before it does either of those two. Hunch, plus the open interest may side with me rather than the other one. Just a hunch. I'm just saying it's just a hunch, you know, not with a lot of conviction. So anyway, markets are uncommitted. Yesterday I said they're definitely moving against the yen. Today I can say they're definitely not. Well, it's inconsistent. There's not enough consistency for me to say markets are moving with this or that. Let's not kid myself. Markets are moving based on headlines, period. Okay, Nick signing out. If you have any questions, let me know.